God. Hello and welcome to the penultimate week of the Bundesliga. Game day 33 in the Bundesliga with myself, Gav Mack Florian Wolfrum. I think you're there, Flo. Are you there, Flo? No, I can't hear you there. So it looks like you might have to leave the room and come back while I introduce the show. Love a technical issue. One day we'll all be able to sit in the same room together, and that day I look forward to very, very much. So while Flo sorts his information out, I think you might just have to leave the room and come back. It'll just be myself for a couple of moments, and Flo will be here in a second. Anyway, I can still introduce the show. So on this week's show, we'll be talking about Favre failing all over again, Mainz's crawl to safety, and Wolfsburg securing European football. And I think we have Flo back already. How lovely is that? Flo, are you there?
I'm here, and I hope you can hear and see me now.
There you are. So, yes, Favre, he fails all over again. Leipzig 0, Dortmund 2. I say he fails all over again. He's actually won that game, but he is a failure, in my opinion. Leipzig, they just can't win at home, can they?
It seems that they've lost it, winning at home. I don't know how that could happen. Even in the match against Borussia Dortmund, the last home match of Timo Werner, seems that there's no chance for them at home. Luckily, they played such a good round before Christmas. Otherwise, with that bad home form, they would would have lost the Champions League this year.
That's 9 games now that they've failed to win. 8 of their last 9 they failed to win at home. It's not really the form of challengers, is it?
Nah, and especially they still have 63 points. So imagine how good they need to be away if you lose or if you can't win 9 home matches. What should be your base, like winning the home matches to qualify for Champions League, and now they have 63 points and most of them away. We could, in return, or in contrast, we could speak about their strength away, but I believe their bad form at home is more shocking.
Yeah, definitely. 2 goals came from Erling Haaland. The second goal I'm a little bit questionable about, so I don't think he got the final touch on it. I think it might have been an own goal, but he's been credited for it. So, you know, his form since he's joined the Bundesliga has been incredible. The first goal actually came from Julian Brandt. I think he was the architect. And it's a nice little flick on from Reina. I always called him Claudio Reina. I'm thinking about his father. But Reina, that's his first assist in the Bundesliga. He's still only 17 years old. What impact do you feel that Reina could have with running the side next season, considering that the Bundesliga is a hotbed for young talent?
He's very promising, but Dortmund had a couple of these promising players during the last years, like, I don't know, Jakob Brun Larsen, for example, who's now playing quite average in Hoffenheim. And I hope that he's able to develop next year. Maybe even if Sancho leaves, he can fulfill the gap and become the next one. He has all the gear and definitely some idea.
You love that saying.
I love that. And I love it. You know, in England, you have such lovely ways to say things, to express things, like you're painting with your words. I love that. In Germany, we don't have that much. I love reading the English press when they're writing about football, and so many metaphors and so on. I love
that. I'll try and think of some more over the pre-season that you could take back to Leverkusen. But yeah, that's Dortmund. They've sealed second place with that, but I still feel that it's a bit of a fail from Favre. We spoke about him a couple of times over the last few weeks about his idea of moving forwards. Even though it was a big result, it really wasn't at the same time, because yes, Leipzig are in 3rd place. Yes, they were chasing Dortmund, but their home form's been so bad, it's almost like I expected Dortmund to win irrespective of what form they're in. But we know that Bayern Munich are just an absolute special machine. How can Leipzig and how can Dortmund and Mönchengladbach and Leverkusen put the pressure on Bayern Munich?
I believe they can't. Bayern Munich's biggest opponent is Bayern Munich himself. If they don't make anything wrong or any horrible mistakes, they will always be first. You know, they have so much money. They've worked so good. Like the whole club in itself, not even the professional team, also the staff behind, the marketing staff, merchandising, all the other departments. In every way, they are another league. They're way better than all the clubs in Germany. The only club who's maybe a little close to that regarding financial terms is Borussia Dortmund, but all the others, it's like I don't know, fighting against windmills for them if they want to fight Bayern Munich.
Don't talk about me painting words. You know, little metaphor there, Flo.
I try my best.
He loves it. Hey, let's go to the capital now. Well, not the capital as such. Let's go to the capital clubs. First of all, we will talk about Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim, they sealed a 4-0 win at home to Union Berlin. 4 different goal scorers as well, which is quite nice. It was Babu who's got the opening after 11 minutes. Kramaric, Leicester fans might remember him a couple of moments before half-time. On the stroke of half-time, Darbour scored, and then Baumgartner towards the end. So, the first goal, it was a tap-in, really. It was Piatek who did all the dancing and pretty much ran the ball across the line of the goal and just couldn't get his foot around it. And Babu was there thinking, yeah, I'll have that, which is stark contrast of his disallowed goal from midweek where he's absolutely slapped it from 40 yards. That's his 5th goal in 6 games against Union Berlin. Why does he love playing against Union Berlin so much?
I can't say, honestly. I don't know. If you have like these matchups or the opponents, you always just score. Like, I don't know, Stefan Kiesling, for example, Leverkusen always scored against Hamburg. Robert Lewandowski scores against everyone.
Everyone, yeah, I was going to say. I don't think he has a choice. He hasn't got a preference who he scores against. He couldn't care less. And then, Kramaric, as I said, like, people will remember him from Leicester. He was a big money signing for Leicester, and he just didn't quite make it in the English Premier League. But he seems at home in Germany. Do you feel that the league suits him in Germany better, or has he just found the right team in Hoffenheim?
I believe he just found the right team. Maybe they weren't patient enough at Leicester with him, because from my point of view, he's a great player and he's way too good for playing for Hoffenheim. I would have expected him 1 or 2 years ago to change the club maybe to a more ambitious one, because even though Hoffenheim qualified for Europa League yesterday, still, like, I don't know, their club, to talk another metaphor, they're not meat and not fish, we say in Germany or in German. They're nothing really. You know?
You've got a whole catalogue of these. Darbour scored just before half-time. I've seen him. I've been watching him quite a bit this season anyway. But what are your thoughts on Darbour?
He was a great signing for them. You know, I know how many goals he scored after winter break. He came during winter break, so it's 5, 6, 7 goals. It's a quite decent one. And they need a striker after Joe Linton left last summer. Hadn't a good one in the first round before winter, before Christmas, because Kramaric was also hurt. And now they have with Darbour and Kramaric 2 decent strikers, which are very technical, quite good players. They know how to score. And if Hoffenheim is able to keep them, they maybe can run up for a higher position next year.
Let's go to the other game, which involved a capital side. I'm sure you're really looking forward to talking about this one.
Absolutely.
The graphic is incorrect on the bottom of the screen. However, it was Hertha Berlin 2, Leverkusen 0. The goals came from Cunha and Luca Bacchio. I actually made a mistake on the previous game with the Hoffenheim game. Babu's was a tap-in, but it wasn't Piatek who did the run-in, because Piatek, as everyone knows, plays for Hertha Berlin. And he had a very good game again, which is pretty nice. Right, Cunha, as I said before, on the first show back after the COVID break, I don't understand why Leipzig. Sorry, I don't understand why Leipzig got rid of Cunha. And he went for a decent amount of money to Hertha Berlin. I'm surprised that he made that choice, bearing in mind he's only 20 years old and he's a very good talent. He caused a lot of problems for Leverkusen yesterday. What were your thoughts on the game as a football fan first, and then we'll hammer Leverkusen afterwards?
As a football fan, I was very surprised that Hertha Berlin defended so disciplined and with so much energy, although the season is over for them. So they played like the team which wanted to qualify for Champions League, and this was really surprising for me. They had a very good match, good tactics, great defending, and no chance for Leverkusen yesterday. And this match showed which potential the club has now with all its signings from winter. And yeah.
Do you think that Hertha Berlin could push for a top 6 finish next year?
Maybe, yeah. Top 6, was it 6 or 7? I would say is quite possible, because as you see, the first 5 teams are like the first 5 teams in the last season, and they even got better. Leverkusen has more points than yesterday's season and won't be able to qualify for Champions League, I guess.
Yeah.
So it seems like that the first 5 are running a little bit away from the league, from the other teams. Because if you have that massive Champions League money, you of course are able to improve even more than the concurrents and the other teams in the Bundesliga.
Because over the years, I look at Hertha Berlin, the times when they've been in the top flight, and it's their home form which carries them. They're away from home. If you're a betting person, if you see them away from home, it doesn't matter who they're playing against. It's just put money on them to lose the game. But at home, they seem a lot more comfortable, and they're one of the very few teams actually since the COVID breakdown. I think they're only second to Bayern Munich in terms of their home form since the comeback. So, what is it about playing at the Olympiastadion that they love?
Actually, they don't like it playing over there. Well, they get the points there, so that's good for them. But since years, they are complaining that the stadium is too big, that it's not full. Hertha Berlin has maybe a fan base of 45,000. The stadium is made for 75,000. So it's always an empty stadium. You only have the Ostkurve, where the Hertha Berlin fans, the Ultras are. It's always full. But if you go away from that one, it's become even more empty. And now they're trying for years to build their own stadium. Have many conflicts with the city of Berlin. So they now aim to leave the Olympic Stadium in 2024. That's when their contract ends, and then they want to build their own stadium.
I was just trying to think where in Berlin could they put it? I've lived in Berlin before. Where could they put it? It's quite a built-up city. Would they still be on the outskirts, or would they try and come a little bit more inner city?
Yeah, that's actually the biggest question and the biggest conflict in the politics in the city. Hertha wants to have the stadium on the side of the old Olympic Stadium. So the Olympic Stadium stays, but next to it they want to build another stadium for 50,000 people.
Right.
What's quite, I don't know, doesn't really make any sense.
No,
if you have 2 big stadiums next to each other. But it makes sense in terms that you have the whole infrastructure with public transportation and parking lots and etc. But the city or people living there don't want to have that. They thought about leaving Berlin and build a stadium in Brandenburg right before the city gates, or in front of the city gates, because there's lots of space in Brandenburg.
Yes, there is.
But all the fans are going mad thinking about their team from Berlin playing in the Brandenburg village. I don't know. So many conflicts, and I don't expect them to be in their own stadium for 2024, because the city of Berlin is interested to keep Hertha in the Olympic Stadium because they pay a huge amount of rent every year, like a couple of millions. And otherwise, the stadium would be of no use for the city. You have maybe the cup final, maybe a couple of concerts, but that's it, and nothing else would be there. So that would be a huge loss for the city.
Sounds like Wembley Stadium to me. Right, Leverkusen. What's going on with Leverkusen there?
I don't know, man. It's typical Leverkusen. Typical Leverkusen match. You know, if you're in front of making the final step, you lose it. It's not
Such
us
an
being
Arsenal
chased.
thing.
It's easy. It's easy to chase us because we'll always give away our pole position. It's better for us to be the chaser like last year. But I don't know. It was just frustrating, man. Watching them, they have no idea on the pitch. You had so much offensive power in the end, playing with only 3 defenders. And like Folland, Alario, Wirtz, Amiri, I don't know, Diaby, Bay.
That's the thing. But you had absolute firepower. Yeah, they couldn't do anything. One team that has secured European football for next season as well is Wolfsburg. Schalke couldn't step up to their previous couple of games where they're showing a little bit of gumption. So Schalke 1, Wolfsburg 4. The goals for Wolfsburg came from Weghorst and Babu and Victor. And there was a consolation from the Welsh international Matondo. Jinsek, he could have opened the scoring very early on into the game. He went one-on-one with the goalkeeper and literally blazed it over the bar. And I thought, when those sort of things happen, it tends to be a situation where it's not going to go your way. But Weghorst had different ideas altogether. He got a brace early doors. The second one in particular, I was a big fan of. Brekalo's through ball read really well. And I just think it's not very classic from a Dutchman. He's not got the flair of a Dutch player, has he, Weghorst? He's like a good Bas Dost. That's what he's like. And Babu got the third goal. Jinsek, he was a bit of a handful, to be fair, at the weekend. His shot hit the post and it rebounded to Mbabu. And then the fourth came from Victor from a corner. He's hit it first time on the edge of the box. Going back to Weghorst, could you see him go into a bigger club? Mm. Yeah, because he could be like someone like Weghorst. If he was at Leverkusen, I feel that he would be able to free up Havertz to play in a more of a free role in behind. So you would have, for instance, a three of either Bailey or Diaby with Bellarabi and Havertz, and then have Weghorst as the focal point. I think that could work, but once again, Leverkusen plays such lovely football, bit like how Mönchengladbach play nice football. He's not got that flair, but sometimes you need a plan B. That's still taller than me, Flo. So be careful what you're saying there, mate. The goal of the the goal of the day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the goal of the day, the goal of the game, I should say, was from Matondo. He's won the ball on the left-hand side, pretty much on the halfway line, and he's just driven towards goal and just swept it home with his right peg. Matondo, when he's free, looks like he could be a bit of a handful, and once again, he's another young, talented player in the Bundesliga. Mm. Indeed. Right, let's go elsewhere. Where should we go to? I'll tell you what, let's go to Dusseldorf, because Dusseldorf picked up a vital point at home to Augsburg, and it's pretty much, it's pretty much secured them a playoff place, because I can't see anything happening with Werder Bremen next week. The goals come from Niederlechner, who got the opener to make it 1-0 to Augsburg on 10 minutes, and Dusseldorf brought one back with Hennings. However, it could have been 1-0 to Dusseldorf beforehand, because Eric Tommy's free kick, he found Hennings, who chested it down and just drilled it into the far post. And that would have been his 15th goal of the season. I mean, he did end up getting it a few minutes later. But there looked like there was a handball in the box. Now, this has wound me up quite a lot with the Bundesliga and their VAR, where what's deemed as a handball, what's not deemed as a handball, because it was handball by a Dusseldorf attacker, but it was a push in the back from an Augsburg defender, which brought it along. So if the goal's disallowed correctly because of handball, why wasn't a penalty given for the push? Yeah, they just tend to make it up as they go along. It's just so frustrating, as to why, like, what happens and why nothing was given. Mm. Yeah, poor form. But as I said, he did end up getting his goal, which was good. So he was able to get away with it. To be honest, not really much else happened in that game. It wasn't the greatest game of football, but they have secured. Haven't secured it, because mathematically anything could change. But it does appear that they have secured 16th place, which means it looks like Bremen will be going down, and at the same time as Mainz confirming their status in the top flight. At the same time, they look like they've condemned Werder Bremen to their first season in Bundesliga 5 for 40 years. Mainz 3, Werder Bremen 1. The goals from Quaison, Boetus, and Fernandez. Osako did make it a little bit exciting on the hour mark, But yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't good enough for Bremen. They had an early chance with Sargent. You know, it was a good save, to be fair. And then Bittencourt had a shot which went just wide on 7 minutes, but it wasn't looking good. Now, the first goal, it did need goal line technology, which did work in the Bundesliga in comparison to how it's been working in the Premier League so far. Yeah, Kaizon with a header, and it clearly went over the line. Boetus, you know, his goal from the edge of the box, that was pretty tidy as well. I do like him. I think he's a good player. Might still have a couple of decent, talented players in their side. It makes me laugh as to why they're hanging around down the bottom there. But if you don't pick up results, you know, it sounds so cliche in basic football, but it's very true. Was 2-1. It went to 2-1 with the Sarko. I don't understand how the ball was kept in on the byline, and it was very, very special how we did that. And then Klaassen with a little flick found a Sarko. He just laced it into the top of into the roof of the net. And you'd think maybe there might be a comeback, but no, it wasn't to be. And Fernandez, he made it 3-1. Werder Bremen, do you think that they'll be able to keep a lot of their talent, because they have got a lot of talented players there as well? Do you think they'll be able to keep a few of those in the Bundesliga spy, or do you think that's going to be the end of Werder Bremen currently as we know it? Mm-hmm. Mm. But they've been unlucky in a couple of games, you know, where there's been games where they've hit the woodwork a number of times, and then they've gone down the other end and scored. You know, there's had a couple of refereeing decisions go against them. You know, so it's not necessarily that it's not all been their form on the pitch. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Right, I've lost a bit of sound from you, and I'm not quite sure why, and I don't know where that went. So it might have to be a case where you leave the room and come back again, because I'm not quite sure what happened there. And whilst you do that, Flo, I'm just going to get up the fixtures for next week so the people at home can see the fixtures for next week. It's the last Bundesliga season next week. We've got Dortmund versus Hoffenheim. These all games are kicking off at 2:30 UK time as well. So Dortmund versus Hoffenheim, Leverkusen versus Mainz, Mönchengladbach versus Hertha Berlin, Wolfsburg versus Bayern Munich, Frankfurt versus Paderborn, You've got Bremen, who will be hoping to pick up some form of result against Cologne. Then Freiburg versus Schalke, Augsburg versus Leipzig, and Union Berlin host Dusseldorf. So they'll be hoping that Dusseldorf are able to pick up some form of points there. So hoping that we have Flo back. Flo, are you there?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we have some sound. As I said, I'm not quite
Very
sure
good.
where I lost you in transmission in regards to Bremen, but just to go over a little bit of Bremen, just in case that we missed quite a bit of that. So Bremen, they've got a lot of talent there. Are they going to stay with the club? And you were mentioning there was a couple of big names that are there, which you can't see there for next season.
Yeah, exactly. Like the talents which were already settled in Bundesliga, like Maximilian Eggestein, for example. Can't imagine him playing in second Bundesliga. But maybe some young players like Josh Sargent, who's still, I don't know, 1920, made a couple of Bundesliga games. But he shows his abilities, but in many moments you also see that he's not experienced enough for Bundesliga football. So I believe a year in the second Bundesliga could be maybe even good for his development, because this will give him the chance to play like many matches and have some quite good opponents. If, I don't know, maybe Hamburg loses today, they have the North Derby again against Hamburg.
Well, this is the thing. I was going to say, there's a lot of big teams in the Bundesliga as far. It's a little bit like in England with the Championship. It's not a very easy league to get out of, is it?
No, because the league is more a league where you have to play a fighting football than a technical good football. So the great clubs which are in the league, like Stuttgart, Hamburg, always when they relegate, or Cologne, or a couple of last years, Nuremberg last year relegated from Bundesliga, now we're fighting for relegation in second league.
Yeah,
they have many problems because the league is quite similar. All the teams, they are on a similar base, and most of them are very fighting teams. So they have to fight the big clubs because they have way more money. Stuttgart, Hamburg, imagine them playing in the same league with Sandhausen. They are two different worlds, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But on the pitch, for them, it's one of the biggest matches. They try everything, and most of the time, they succeed with a draw or maybe a win, and that's why, like, Stuttgart and Hamburg are suffering or struggling so much promoting this year. Look at the Bundesliga 2 table; it's horrible. Because yeah, continue.
No, yeah, because you've got teams that you wouldn't expect to be hanging around the top, like Arminia Bielefeld, you know, and Dynamo Dresden are in that division. You know, there's a lot of good seasons. I was really surprised to see that you just mentioned them a couple of moments ago. Nuremberg, sorry, they're struggling. You know, Mavropanos, who's on loan from Arsenal, is there. And I was thinking, yeah, go to the Bundesliga as far. It's a good league. You know, you'll be all right. It'll toughen you up a little bit. And they might be going down to Bundesliga dry.
Yeah, I believe Nuremberg, they won last weekend. So I guess they will, I believe they will be able to stay in the league. But as you mentioned, Dresden, they are going to relegate. They are now 5 points behind.
Yeah,
and they had 2 matches left, so it's just I guess today they will leave officially. What's very sad for Bundesliga 2, because Dresden is a great club, great amount of fans, but they had really trouble with Corona, because they had an outbreak or 2 positive testings in their team, and now they have like a massive amount of matches in a very short time.
That was well documented over here, to be fair. What was happening there.
And he, after last match, quite an interesting story, against Kiel on was Thursday, I believe. One of the Dresden players was nearly crying in front of the camera, and was really mad about DFL and DFB. Was saying, like, I don't know, do you believe that Christian Seifert, who is the CEO of DFL, cares or gives a fuck about Dynamo Dresden and about the people working here and the players? We are the one on the pitch who have where the shit is going up, and it was really emotional, which led to a huge discussion again in the German landscape of football, especially among football fans.
Well, hopefully they've got a decent lawsuit there because I think Donald Justin will have something to say. 2 more games to fulfill. We've got FC Köln versus Frankfurt. Goals from Kainz from the spot. Oh, Roda, he was cruising into the box. It was not obvious penalty there. The keeper got a hand to it, but Kainz, he really hammered that home. And my good old friend, he made it 1 apiece. So just beforehand, though, Hinteregger thought he scored to make it 1 apiece there, but VAR they chalked it out because it hit Bas Dost's arm. No goal there, but then Bosch, Bas Dost. Why does Bas Dost and Andre Silva? I know he didn't score yesterday, but why do they score so many goals, man? Because they are both not very talented players, in my opinion.
Can't say much about Silva because I just saw him like this year the first time in a detailed way. But Bas Dost, I don't know, he's a phenomenon. He simply knows where the goal is, and everywhere he scored. You know, he was a major point for Wolfsburg's cup win 5 years ago.
Yeah.
In Lisbon at Sporting, he was he had like 30 goals per season, 3 years.
I was going to say, didn't he? I swear his record is like 1.5, he scores like 1.5 goals every 2 games or something like that. It was ridiculous. It was like 30 goals in 50 games or something like that. But then Portuguese league isn't the strongest league in the world, is it? But he did it before in the Bundesliga, and he's come back and he's doing it again. He's just not a bit like Weghorst, as we spoke about earlier on in the show. He's just not a very attractive.
Way more ugly than Weghorst also.
Yeah. So that to be honest, that was a bit of a nothing game in terms of where they are in the league, in terms of where they could go. There's neither side going anywhere. But I'm sure Cologne would love to send Werder Bremen down next week because that's who they've got. And then the final game that we'll talk about, just to make sure everyone keeps watching, is Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich 3, Freiburg 1. Goals from Joshua Kimmich after 15 minutes. Lewandowski scored. Oh, that's interesting. He doesn't score many goals. He is the highest ever scoring non-German in Bundesliga history.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
See, I told you, I watch my Bundesliga football. I know my Bundesliga football, mate.
And who was it before Lewandowski?
Yes, that's who it was.
Do you know who it was before Lewandowski?
I'll have to have a think about it. It's not Bas Dost, is it?
No, it isn't. It's he plays for Arsenal. Give you a hint.
Plays for the Arsenal. Oh, yeah. Ober, of course. Yeah, of course.
31 goals.
Yeah.
Aubameyang 2 years
there you
ago,
go.
or 2 years ago.
Hula, I should say. He scored a little tap in to make it 2-1, and then Lever, he scored a bit of a tap in himself after Hernandez's cross. One player who will be looking forward to doing something next week will be Thomas Muller, because he is looking for a record himself, isn't he, with assists, and he almost got one where he flicked it back yesterday, and Cuisance literally had no composure whatsoever, just smashed it over the bar. And I saw Thomas Muller go over to him and have a word with him. It's just in my head, I think he said, "Mate, just knock it home, you know, I'm trying to get my record here." I just felt that's what he was doing. But yeah, Bayern, they've already won the title. Freiburg aren't going anywhere. That was a bit of a nothing game as well, don't you think?
Yeah, especially after the halftime. You know, there was 3-1 at halftime. Freiburg knew they won't be able to change the match. Bayern Munich knew, okay, we have a cup final to play. We have a match next week. Let's save some energy, get some rest. And like the second halftime was incredibly boring.
Yeah,
the referee could have ended the match at halftime.
Yeah, he could have, and I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid. Right, Let's get the table up for everyone to see. So, as we know, Bayern Munich have won the title. Dortmund have also secured second spot, but third place is still up for grabs as well, but it's all in the hands of each individual. So Leipzig, as long as they pick up a point next week, they will guarantee at least a top 4 finish. Mönchengladbach, they are on 62 points in 4th place, and then Leverkusen, they are in 5th. They've slipped out of the Champions League spots, and it looks like they will be playing Europa League football next year. As mentioned before, Wolfsburg, they have got Europa League football next year. They are going to finish 6th, maybe 7th, but 7th is also a European spot, and that's where Hoffenheim currently occupy, who have confirmed their European football for next season as well. At the bottom, Augsburg are safe. Mainz, with their massive 3 points, are safe as well. We all knew Paderborn went down anyway, and in 17th place is Werder Bremen. They are 2 points behind Dusseldorf, so they need a win next week, and they need to better the Dusseldorf result in order to. In fact, Dusseldorf have got a better goal difference actually, so they need Dusseldorf to lose and for themselves to win next week to guarantee a playoff place. And a playoff place, it's not going to be a very easy task, to be honest. The team in 3rd place in the Bundesliga 5, which is still up for grabs at the moment, by the way.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say there could be a very funny cancellation next week. Although it's very unlikely, if Bremen wins 4-0 and Augsburg and Düsseldorf draws 4-4, both teams have the same amount of points and goals, also scored goals and goals against, and there would be a direct comparison between those two, who also like an European arithmetic.
Would they
two matches?
Would they look at the head-to-head record at that point?
Yeah, and Düsseldorf would win because they've won the home match 3-1 and lost away 1-0 or something like that. So Düsseldorf would be this comparison would be in favor of Düsseldorf. So
in other words, it's just Bremen go out there and win and hope Düsseldorf lose. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Right. So later on today, we have the first part of the Premier League Game Day 30 review. That will be live on our YouTube channel. And if you don't follow us on YouTube, why don't you follow us on YouTube? That is the question. So that is at 1 o'clock. That'll be live just before the Premier League fixtures. Monday night, which is the 22nd of June at 7 p.m, it will be myself and Adam the Greek Harrow, the quizmaster. We will be reviewing part 2 of Game Day 30. On Thursday at 11 a.m, so it's a nice early start for that one. We'll be reviewing the midweek games and previewing what we've got left there. Our top 5s at 5, as always, on Thursdays. And then on Saturday morning, it will be the weekend preview of the sole Premier League game over the weekend and the FA Cup, and that one will also be live on YouTube. So make sure you follow us on YouTube and follow us on all social media platforms. All our names are going on the bottom of there. That's our Facebook at 2 at Top Football for absolutely everything. So that's our Twitter, that's our Instagram, and our YouTube. So that is all there for all plain to see. So make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. But for myself, Gav Mack, and Flo Wolfrum, thank you and goodbye.